Welcome to SuckleBusters Outdoor Kitchen. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Robby Staggs. He is owner of Champion Barbecue Supply in Amarillo, Texas. He also is on Two Pig Mafia team. Today he's going to introduce a new seasoning that he's created, and he's also going to teach us how to cook an SCA steak. So Robby, why don't you tell us a little bit about the road to the championship and how you got there?
Well, it all started, I had a pretty good year last year, but I didn't get a first. My wife got a first in about July, and she qualified for the World Championship. So that really got me off my rear end. I had to do about 8 straight weeks of events just to qualify on points. I ended up qualifying on points in Wichita Falls. Luckily, I was on a very cold streak. I'd gone about 8 tournaments with no calls. So I picked a good time to break my cold streak at the World Championship. So.
Never give up, right?
Never give up. One thing I did learn is get my timing down, get a process down. So doing it 8 straight weeks in a row, I really got my process down. I think that's really what propelled us to get our consistency enough to win a world championship.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, how about you show us how to cook one of those SCA steaks?
So the first thing when you get to an SCA steak after the cook's meeting is picking out a steak. What you're gonna run across is a table probably as big as this whole bar full of steaks. You'll draw numbers to pick your order, and you'll come through line one time and you'll come back through in the opposite order. But as you're walking by with these 50 steaks, what we're looking for is really this spinalis meat. So whether you're at the supermarket or you're at an SCA table picking out a steak, what we're really looking for is this soft, well-marbled meat right here. So in this particular example, this is like a little mini table we've got here. This steak would be the least valuable on this table for judging or for your dinner table. This one probably be the most valuable. A lot of people in SCA call this a tri-heart. It's got all 3 muscles intact. This wraparound spinalis is also a good one. This one here is just a smaller version of this. Still got the 3 muscles, just not as big. These 2 aren't bad, but this would be definitely our throwaway. So we would be comfortable turning in all 5 of these except this one. So today we'll grab a tri-heart and we'll grab a wraparound spinalis, and we'll cook these 2 today. So next we're going to cut out some of this fat we don't want the judges to eat. We're just going to do just a light shaving, about as thin as we can. We still want as much of that meat. And when you're doing this, guys, use long, slow strokes. That way you don't really damage the meat and you don't have any pressure. So guys, when you get to here, we're going to take this last piece off right there. What we don't want to do is cut this piece right here, because this is connecting those 2 muscles. If not, it'll split on you. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to tie this steak up. And the reason why we do that, when you grill these ribeyes, they're going to tend to expand. The fat's going to shrink, sometimes expand. It's going to do all kinds of different things. So we want to keep this thing stationary so we can get our grill marks the way we want them. So first thing, we're going to cut out a little bit of string. And then we're going to go around this steak. And we're going to do a butcher's knot, which is like tying your shoe, but we're going to go through it twice. So that way it'll stay in place to get our knot. So now we got our butcher's knot started. We're just going to tie that up. Not too tight. We don't want to choke it to death, but we don't want it to move. So you see how our butcher's knot has stayed in place. So we'll go ahead and fold that over. Give that a little tie. What I do is I leave about 2 inches on the string. That way, when I turn it into the box, it's still on there to remind me to take it off. A lot of people have been disqualified in SCA, including me. I've left my string on, and the last thing they tell you at the meeting is don't leave your string on your steak. So this is just a little reminder. We'll move on to seasoning now. So some people marinate, some people, I call it a dry marinate. I'm gonna start with a binder. You can use oil. I'm gonna use a little bit of Bloom Worcestershire sauce. This stuff's a great product. It's out of Wisconsin, I believe. And we sell it on our website, but we're gonna do about 6 or 7 drops. And we'll just pat that in, go around the side. So I'm not putting a whole lot on there, just enough to get the steak wet. And then we're gonna go with our seasoning here. We're gonna go pretty liberal. So we're gonna cover this thing pretty good. Just pat that in. And we'll hit that side just a little bit while it's still wet. We're gonna let this set for about 10 or 15 minutes. Let that thing sweat up. The salts and everything will draw the moisture up out of the steak, and that rub will kind of dissolve into the steak. So we've let this steak set for about 20 minutes, and you see the juices have come up. The steak looks wet. So now we're ready to season the other side. And we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. We're gonna put about 5 or 6 drops Worcestershire on there. We're gonna rub it in. And we're gonna literally cover that. Now we're gonna transfer it to a pan. Now I've got a chicken rack in here to keep the air going all around it. I don't want all my rub sitting here. See how most of that rub landed on the cutting board? I don't want to sit there all day and all that bottom of the rub to be lost. So I'll put it on a chicken rack in a pan. We'll put some foil over it, and we're just gonna set it aside until we're ready to cook. All right, so we're gonna use a product called grill grates. We want our grill grates to be 550, 600 degrees. If you don't have an infrared thermometer, we want that just hot enough where you can only hold it for a couple seconds. So the way we're gonna start this steak is, we're gonna start by spraying a little coat of duck fat, and we're gonna place it directly on the heat. This is a 3-pound weight, and then we're gonna let that weight rest for about 15 seconds. Some people do it the entire cook. I do it 15 seconds. I just want to set those grates, and then we're gonna close that lid. All right, so 15 seconds are up. We're gonna shut this lid. And total cooking time, this is gonna be about 1:30 on this side. All right, so our timer's gone off. Now we're getting ready to do our second flip. What we're gonna do is we're gonna slide our grate spatula under here. We're gonna grab our brush. We want to get that grate clean again, so our grill marks will be clean. We're gonna take our duck fat, coat this side, give it a quick spray, and then I transfer it to my left hand. I want to put this edge right on that grill mark. We're gonna put the steak weight back on there for about 15 seconds. All right. We're gonna let that cook for about another 1:15. All right. We're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna pop that thing off, clean off the remnants. And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna give this another coat of duck fat, and now we're gonna go exactly the opposite. So we're gonna take this in our hand, flip it around, then we're gonna go exactly opposite the way we just had it. So that's gonna give us that perfect crosshatch. We're gonna give that another about 15 seconds. Okay, our 15 seconds up. We're gonna let that just cook. All right, so we're going on to our 4th flip here. And once again, we're gonna pop this thing up. The reason why we pop that up, we don't wanna rip our grill marks. So if you pop it straight up, we have a better chance of keeping those grill marks intact. So now we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. We're gonna put this on directly above that. And this will be the first time we butter the steak. Now I've got some pre-seasoned butter here. Some of the seasoning with the duck fat is washed off. So I'm gonna take some of this pre-seasoned butter. I'm gonna take a little bit off the top. That's not where the fat settled at the bottom. We're just gonna give it a little dose. We're gonna give that just about 15 seconds. So we're gonna let that cook. So now we've got 2 sides to choose from. So we're still gonna give this a little pop up. Okay, so now we gotta make a decision. Which side looks better? So we got darker marks on this side, a little bit of char, and we have a little lighter marks on this side. We'll decide here in just a little bit. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna raise this steak up. This steak should be about 100 degrees. And what we're gonna do is take our thermometer, and we're gonna cook this thing slow. And we're right about 95 degrees. So what we're gonna do, We're gonna raise this up. We're done getting grill marks right now. So we're gonna raise this thing up slowly, and we're gonna start buttering it about every minute or two. So we're just gonna keep buttering that thing. And this is seasoned butter. I took our same seasoning we seasoned with, the 2 Pig Mafia seasoning, and we're just gonna coat it and keep coating it. We're gonna let this sit. We're probably gonna have this cook for about 2 minutes, and then we'll check on it. Let's see how we're doing. And where we temp this at is right in the middle of the steak, where we're at the judges to cut. So we're gonna temp right in the middle. So we're getting real close. We're about getting close to 130 degrees. We're gonna give this a final butter. And we're gonna pull this right about 137, 138 degrees, and we're gonna get a 5-minute rest, and then we'll get ready for the judges. All right, so we come from the grill, and I put a little seasoning on our foil. We've washed a lot of that seasoning off with the butter and the duck fat and everything, so we're gonna re-season the bottom of it, and we're gonna let this steak rest for about 5-10 minutes. A minimum of 5. I don't wanna get that foil so tight that we ruin the steak's appearance. So we're just gonna bunch that up. We're gonna let that rest for at least 5 minutes. So we're gonna unwrap this. It's been about 5 minutes of rest time. We're gonna take this out of the foil. We're gonna save that juice. What we're looking for right now is, as you see, a lot of the seasoning's washed off. We're gonna hit this with one more just up high seasoning. We're gonna take just a little bit of butter, and we're gonna disguise that seasoning just a little bit. So we've re-seasoned. Remember I said we cut our string. This is our reminder to cut our string. And now we're ready for the box. So we can see our spinalis here, and we want the judges to eat spinalis, so our cut is going to be right through here. So we're going to cut this way. We should be at a perfect medium. I hope you've learned everything you need to know to get your first SCA steak cooked. I hope for you guys that do it all the time, maybe picked up a point or two. I'd like to thank Dan from SuckleBusters for letting us use his backyard to do this. Also Grill Grates, PK for supplying the grill, Jealous Devil for supplying the charcoal. Feel free to go to Dan's website, order our 2 Pig Mafia rub, or you can go to championbarbecuesupply.com as well. But we're always in the store there in Amarillo, Texas to help you out, help all your cooking needs, and hope y'all enjoyed it. And since we're not actually turning into judges, we're about to get to eating. So y'all have a good evening.
That's awesome, Robbie.